The Metroid franchise has to be one of Nintendo's most loved franchises, but the series has never really been a big seller. The franchise went dark after 2010's highly diversive Other M, only for the franchise to reappear last year with the decent Metroid Prime Federation Force. But unfortunately, the game wasn't a hit with fans due to its art style and the feeling of having the Metroid Prime name tacked onto it. Suffice to say, it was a huge commercial flop, and after that, many thought the Metroid franchise was done for good. But E3 2017 surprised us all with a Metroid double bill. Metroid Prime 4 was in development for the Switch, and a remake of the Game Boy title Return of Samus was coming to 3DS. So hopes for the future of the franchise look bright, and with Metroid Samus Returns, we have one of the best 3DS games around. Shockingly, it's been 13 years since we last had a 2D Metroid title. That game was 2004's Metroid Zero Mission on the Game Boy Advance, so yeah, that is a fair old while ago. Anyway, let's start with the plot, and Samus Returns has a quite important part to play in the series timeline, a sort of prequel to Super Metroid and Other M. Samus Returns' story sees Samus head to the Metroid's home planet of SR-388 in hope of destroying the little buggers before they're used by the space pirates who want to use them for very nasty things. Yes, it's a simple story, but it's serviceable enough, and it works rather well. On to the gameplay now, and straight from the get-go, it's old school Metroid. You go through the first area, moving forward, shooting enemies and searching for secrets. You continue moving forward until you need a new ability, then after you find it, more of the area opens up. The level design, as always with these games, is truly superb, and it's fun to go back to an old area with new abilities to try and find more secrets. One thing that surprised me though about Samus Returns was how much of a challenge it can be. From boss battles, traversing through levels and puzzles, there's a nice challenge to be had here, which is a good change. One of my favourite things about the Metroid games is going through the map and finding new powers, and Samus Returns has a bucket load to find. Old favourites like the Various Suit, Ice Beam and Spider Ball return from the original, but as Samus Returns is a complete remake, there's plenty of new upgrades not seen in the original. The rework in the levels sees the likes of Super Metroid's Grappling Beam and Power Bomb appearing in the game, which is a nice shake-up for returning players. With all these traditional powers and upgrades returning, it's nice to see that there's 4 new upgrades for Samus to find in the game as well. These new upgrades are powered by this yellow energy source called Aeon, and the energy depletes every time you use it, but don't worry, you can replenish it by defeating enemies. Anyway, onto these actual powers, and the first one you receive is Scan Pulse, which is a very helpful little ability that highlights any unexplored parts of the map, whilst also making any destructible blocks in your area flash. This new ability is certainly a huge helping hand that will certainly save you wandering around aimlessly trying to find all the secrets. And while some old school Metroid fans may scoff at it by classing it as cheating, I think it's a cracking new feature that is very useful, especially if you're stuck. The other new Aeon abilities include the abilities to slow down time, boost Samus' firepower, and some super protective armor that protects Samus from powerful attacks. All these new powers are helpful and really entertaining to use. It's not just the new Aeon powers Samus gains, as she also gains a few new moves in combat, and they're quite drastic new additions. First off, Samus now can perform a melee counter whenever an enemy is about to charge you. You'll know that as they'll flash for a split second. Press the X button and Samus will parry the attack, leaving them wide open for you to attack them. It may sound like a strange conclusion for a Metroid game, but this melee counter works really well. And the other new combat move is the ability for Samus to shoot in any direction you want. Now this is actually quite a big addition, considering all the other previous 2D Metroid games, Samus could only shoot in 8 different directions. This move really does drastically change the way you play the game, and it really does make you wonder how you could go back to older 2D Metroid games without this move. It's that good. As much as the game is an absolute joy to play, there is one slight annoyance, and that is some of the Metroid encounters can be quite repetitive, as you do have to fight 40 of them. But to the game's credit, some of the battles do vary, and as you get near the end of the game, the battles do get more epic and harder, so it does kind of make up for it later on. The game is rather lengthy for a 2D Metroid, especially compared to the original game, which can be completed in 4 or 5 hours. Samus Returns can take you anywhere around 8 to 10 hours if you rush it, all the way up to 15 plus if you aim for 100%. Once you complete the game, you'll unlock a harder difficulty mode, and if you have a Metroid Amiibo, you'll unlock another difficulty mode as well, but more on that one later. But overall, there's plenty of replayability in Samus Returns. It's fair to say that the 3DS is getting on a bit now, but boy does it pump out some great looking games, and Samus Returns is one of them. Samus is superbly animated, as is each of the enemies in the game. The environments are also well detailed with some top uses of the 3D effect. But this should be expected as developer Mercury Steam's previous 3DS game was Castlevania Mirrors of Fate, and that was an absolute stunner as well. Not only is the game a treat for the eyes, it's an absolute joy for the ears too. The original game's soundtrack has been fully remastered here and it's wonderful. From haunting tones as you wander through the game, to the screams of Metroids. Make sure you turn up the volume on your 3DS as they've done a tremendous job here. Like most Nintendo games these days, Samus Returns is also compatible with Amiibo. Scan any of the Metroid series Amiibo in the game and they'll fill either Samus' health missiles or Aeon gauge. Once you complete the game for the first time, you can also scan these Amiibo again for more decent rewards like a sound test or an art gallery. But one unlockable is an even harder difficulty mode that allows you to play the game in Samus' fusion suit. It's a cool unlockable, but it's only unlocked if you have the Metroid Amiibo, and there's no other way to get around it. It's a shame that this mode is tied to the Amiibo as there's no other way to unlock it. I just hope Nintendo don't lock content out with Amiibo with future games as it really isn't a good way to sell Amiibo. Conclusion time now, and Samus Returns is a brilliant return to form for the Metroid franchise, with the series' best 2D entry since Super Metroid. Don't let it be in a remake put you off, as Samus Returns is much more than that. With so many great new inclusions and additions, it's basically a completely new game. And while fighting so many Metroids can feel a bit samey, and keeping the fusion mode locked behind a Amiibo paywall is a shame, there's no denying that Samus Returns is one of the 3DS's very best. And for that reason, I'm giving Metroid Samus Returns a 9.5 out of 10 with the title of amazing. Thank you for watching my review, like, rate and subscribe, and until next time, happy gaming. Bye!